This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Welcome to Icons and Circles. This is Consul Aneta Blan. For tonight, we're going to be featuring an organization, a women's organization that is taking care of children's rights, their protection and rehabilitation for sexually abused children. And with me tonight is a beautiful lady, and she is no other than the project head of the Zonta Club of Makati Environs Psychological Center for Sexually Abused Children. And she is JOANNE ZAPANTA-ANDRADA.
Thank you for having me.
And together with her is the psychotherapist Shay Tolentino. Okay. And we're going to discuss the different programs, actually the advocacy of the Zonta Club of Makati and Environments with regards to the psychological support given to these children who were sexually abused.
Yes, that's right.
All right. JOANNE, how long have you been involved in this project?
Well, Zonta Club of Makati and Environs started this project way back in 1997, so that makes it about 18 years. We've been providing continuous psychological care for the children in this particular government institution.
All right. That's like a long way back, right? And along the way, you've been able to help, I guess, hundreds of...
Oh, thousands, definitely thousands
of children. Yes. And this is also a project of in partnership with the Department of Welfare and Social...
the DSWD.
Right.
Yes, well, we are helping, we are a private organization that's working hand in hand with DSWD. MARILLAC Hills is a government institution that was created, I believe, in 1915. For the purpose of
1915,
1915. Yes.
Really? That way back, all right.
Yes, and its purpose really, and it is still the purpose today, is to be a safe haven for abused or neglected children. At the beginning, it also included orphans, and it was a home for both boys and girls. Since then, it has evolved, and I would say that most of the residents there are girls who have been either sexually abused, sexually exploited, or are part of sexual commerce.
All right, the sex trade.
The sex trade, yes, the industry.
And when you say children, that's from what age, up to what age? Then?
Well, right now, our residents, of course, all girls, we have an infant, and we have girls that are up to 18 years old, or perhaps a little older, although the mandate requires us to have children no older than 18. Circumstances are such that a lot of the girls who are 18 and above are forced to still stay in the institution.
And right now, how many children are you taking care of?
We have about approximately 240 girls.
That's a lot.
Oh, that's actually very small. When we started out in 1997, there were about 330 to 360 girls at that time. Right. So this is, to us, already an improvement.
Okay, so what happened to, the other girls? They graduated, they get married, they go into the mainstream of society?
Well, at any given time, there really is an influx of girls, as well as girls who leave, because the process is as follows. Basically, to be able to end up as a resident of MARILLAC Hills, one should have a case, a pending case, ongoing. What happens is when a child is reported to have been abused, okay, the case is brought to the police,
Yes.
and then a court case ensues. If for any particular reason the judge deems that the child is not safe in her original environment, the home,
Yeah.
okay, she is then deemed as a ward of the state, and
Ah.
therefore is brought to MARILLAC Hills while her case is still pending. Okay, so it's very possible for children to be there only for a few months while their case is pending, and once that's resolved, then they leave. And it is not at all surprising for many of the girls to be there for several years because their cases are still pending or the perpetrator is at large. Yeah.
Or they have nowhere else to go.
And that happens too. Very often, sadly, the family is not supportive, and therefore there is no one to go home to. So there is a risk of becoming institutionalized. And by that I mean that a child stays in the institution and then is brought to another institution and another, unable to be independent enough to live by herself.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course when there's sexual abuse, there are also those that get pregnant.
Yes,
So-
we have occasionally a number of girls who come who are already pregnant, and what happens is we keep them and we do take care of them. I think DSWD has a tie-up with Fabelia Hospital who takes care of the birthing. And once the baby is born, then a choice has to be made. Ideally, we would very much want the baby to be with the mother, but not all times is it possible for that to happen. So a second option would be to find the nearest family member who would be willing to take the child in. Okay? Now, if even that is not possible, then the child is given up for adoption. Yes, and is placed in an orphanage.
All right. So let's go back to your advocacy and the psychological support that you give the center.
Yes.
Would you like to talk about it together with Shay?
Yes. Well,
And we have some pictures to share
yes,
also.
we do. In 1997, when Zonta Club of Makati and Environs first embarked on the project, we did so because we visited the institution and we realized that although the girls were well fed and housed in MARILLAC Hills, the most important component in their rehabilitation was not present, and that is psychological care. For children who undergo such great trauma as these girls have undergone, psychological care is a must, an absolute must. I mean, you do feed them, you do house them. Physically, they seem to be all right, but emotionally and psychologically, a war is going on. They have not just been physically raped, but they have been emotionally and psychologically molested as well. And
so they're traumatized.
they are traumatized. Sometimes there is even a psychotic break. You know? So definitely the priority would be to immediately address the trauma, immediately address through through psychotherapy, the issues that are festering in the child. If this is left untreated, then so many terrible things will happen. The cycle of abuse will continue. The child could either be a danger to herself or to other people. They could be the next abusers.
Yes.
So we did see that was happening and that there was not enough funding through government to address the needs of these children. And so we decided to set up the center. And the center is composed of 2 psychotherapists and a host of volunteers that give group and individual psychotherapy to the children.
All right. Yeah, just a while ago we were looking at some pictures, no? And Shay, what are the different therapies that you're able to provide for the children?
Currently our focus is on, we're trained to do trauma-focused psychotherapy. It's similar to cognitive behavioral therapy where we focus on helping the clients to cope adaptively, not maladaptively, and to practice their safety skills. So we're focusing on that currently.
All right, and how do you try to help them get out of their trauma? I mean, psychologically?
Through therapy po, through
Different
individual
activities.
Yeah, different activities.
Yes.
Such as art. So we incorporate different activities into therapy. So
Now
the
here, like
child-
dancing. Yeah, there's the
Yeah.
dancing and, okay.
Music, theater, so
Alright.
expressive arts therapy. So
Yes.
different kinds.
Okay.
For children such as these, the need to be distracted is very important. One can imagine being in limbo, because it is pretty much like being in limbo, to be waiting for your court case to be resolved, which can be anywhere from a couple of months to
Couple of years.
couple of years, or maybe
Yes.
even a decade or more.
Right.
So what does a girl do? Does life stop because of what the situation? Shouldn't be that way. Unfortunately, it gives you an awful lot of time to replay on your mind what
Yes.
happened to
Yeah.
you. And the mere fact that you're there every day is a reminder of what happened. So what we do is that we give them an opportunity to do other things. And we find that children who do go through trauma have an urge to really release their emotions.
Right.
And the best way to do it really is through either talking, through psychotherapy, or through art expression, whether it's performance art, visual art.
yeah.
You know, and Filipinos, I think by nature, are incredibly artistic. And so we rely very heavily on volunteers to be able to do that. We've enjoined people in the nearby village because this institution is situated in Alabang.
Yes.
So we have enjoined people from nearby villages to come and help out. And a lot of them have responded. A lot of women have responded. We've received workshops for acting, for singing, for dancing, for physical activities like sports,
Yes.
even yoga and ballet. And the children have reacted very well to this. The whole idea is to keep them engaged constantly. Now, they do go to school. These children are special in the sense that they cannot leave the institution. They cannot. The reason being is because, one, they're wards of the state. Two, there are many times wherein the perpetrator is at large, or the perpetrator has friends who would like to get back at the child or pressure the child against testifying.
Alright,
Okay? And so it is not safe for the child to leave. But we also have cases wherein the child on her own would want to leave because she feels a great guilt about what happens. Remember that when a child is molested by her father or stepfather, okay, the difficulty in pressing on with the case is that you're depriving your family of the breadwinner. Okay? And that is also one of the primary reasons why the family members actually pressure the child to recant their statements, because they want to eat the next day. And that is a very, very understandable situation to be in. But that gives motivation for the child to want to leave the premises. You know? So going back to education, we have to put the school there.
Hold on, Joanne. Let's just take a short break and we'll move on to
Okay.
the subject matter of education.
All right.
Stay with us.